Los Angeles.
It's such a good hook, man.
Oh.
How you doing, dude?
I'm good. I'm pretty good. You're being haunted by the song. I'm not gonna get into it yet.
Yeah, let's just record and we'll catch up later because
Yeah, did you notice as soon as you said you only have so much time, I immediately was like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of remarkable. I am recording now.
And as am I.
So, Josiah, this is another one of the extremely literal suggestions that I think I have made, like doing Happy Holidays, You Bastards for Labor Day.
Yeah.
Because it's important to acknowledge that a song contains a reference to Labor Day around that holy time of year.
It's important to acknowledge that our listeners are stupid.
So right now, just get this out of the way. This isn't a secret like the California episode.
Like the California one was actually, what's the word? Where like it was, fuck. This is why we're the best podcast, because we just forget simple words. But it was sort of like fate. It was like meant to be.
Truly, yes.
Kismet, is that the phrase Kismet?
I believe the phrase Kismet specifically describes you selecting California for our Blink-182 podcast in a week where I would be in California. So yes, 100%.
Without knowing, yeah, exactly. Like we could write a rom-com about that week.
I already am.
This is the shitty sequel.
Well, I'm actually
intentionally.
Yeah, I am in Los Angeles pitching that rom-com right now. So,
oh wow,
inspired by the experience of recording a California episode in a hotel room here in California, I was like, this is good. People need to know about this podcast. It's basically like the Zach Braff show based on Startup, that podcast. It's that, but even worse.
Is there even anyone left to pitch to in LA right now? I mean, aren't they all fired for being sex monsters?
Yeah, we were just sort of wandering these sort of empty hallways. They were like, old ghost towns, in Westerns where everyone's left because the bad guys, went to jail or all moved to Arizona.
I've noticed
or
actually. It's actually kind of lucky that we don't have too much crossover of things that we like, because almost every time you mention someone on the pod, they are outed as a sex monster, or they just were. It's happened with Ghost Mice, and then it happened, I think last week or the week before, you mentioned Brand New, and then all this shit came out. So, like, be careful with the power that you wield, because as soon as you mention a name, some allegations drop immediately after.
This is like that Will Ferrell movie. Oh my God, was that a Woody Allen movie?
Oh no, it wasn't. I know what you're talking about. The one where he
Stranger Than
Fiction. You know that movie? The part where he eats cookies is like straight up erotic.
I haven't seen it. I've just seen the trailer, so I don't know about
all the fuck those cookies.
So I'm in Los Angeles, and as a result, we are doing Los Angeles.
I think for this episode, every time we say it, we should do the sort of Seven Dwarves way that they sing it on this piece of shit song that we're about to talk about.
So should we just get right into it and talk about...
actually, there is one little sort of Hollywood-related housekeeping thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Which is that So we sort of... I mean, you don't listen to the podcast after you put it out. I don't know if you listen. Well, you edit a little bit, at least at this point. But you hear our voices. I hear our voices. I think we still are maybe a little bit delusional about what we sound like, because we've been getting some feedback on Twitter.
It's fucked up, man. I saw that. I haven't been super active on Twitter for the last couple of days, but like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so explain.
Let's start with me. Apparently, I sound like McLovin from Superbad.
Yeah, you know what?
Which
it's a stretch, but I think there are, tonal similarities. Maybe, I don't know. People love McLovin. He's a beloved Halloween costume, and
it's not my worst Superbad reference in my life. When I lived in Vancouver, still, I was an extra on the TV show Aliens in America, which was a short-lived CW show about a Muslim man living in a small town America, which I never watched it, so I don't know if it's like a racist show or if it's like progressive or what. I feel like it's like, it seemed to have a very light tone. And Luke from Gilmore Girls was in it too. And I was an extra in one. And in the episode called Homecoming, I believe, if you want to look it up, I was sitting right behind Luke in the parade scene, and I was staring directly into his bald spot while we were filming. But I made a friend on set, and we were like hanging out all day, and he was really nice, and I was like quite a bit heavier back then, but kind of in denial about it, I guess, because this guy was like, he's like, oh man, you remind me exactly of the guy from Superbad, and I was like, thank you, Michael Cera, and he's like, no. So I guess I'll take McLovin over somebody fat shaming me.
Oh, that's sad. And also, I feel like now, but now it's like you're fat shaming Jonah Hill, who,
Yeah, but he's like svelte now, so it's fine.
I feel like every day I see a new photo of him, though. Like where, there's that great meme of, how he looks like both members of Run the Jewels.
Also, I feel like when you lose weight, are you not fat shaming your former self?
It's true. Losing weight is problematic. It's not progressive at all.
I don't know if I sound like McLovin. I mean, I'm just going to let it hang. It's fine. Also, people continue to call me. I was called a goblin when we first started, and now someone has called me a gremlin recently. So I don't know if that's an improvement or...
Well, I mean, at least there is like a lovable version of a gremlin. Like maybe she's looking for the word mogwai and is like, I don't know, fucking gremlins. Right. Because, you're sort of
it's true.
Cuddly, but, if you... but you can be quite rude if you're fed after midnight, so...
Exactly, or if I'm wet.
Never get Josiah wet.
It's hard sometimes. Moving along, though, to your comparison.
Yeah, this one, I don't know.
Really don't hear it either.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really hear it. I think when I hear your voice, sometimes I hear a different Canadian accent than the one I'm used to because I'm from Western Canada and you're from Etobicoke.
Yeah.
So I hear a different, I do notice something in your voice that is foreign to me, but I don't hear that you have been compared to Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that was seriously a massive compliment, and I am immensely appreciative. Easily the greatest actor of his or any generation. However, I don't know, man. I don't hear it. But, you never really understand what your own voice sounds like, as in your case where you don't realize that you are, a one-to-one exact replica of McLovin. But look at...
Isn't his voice more nasally?
Yeah, it's a stretch. It's a much more of a Emo Phillips version of your voice. But
maybe, and also maybe it changes because I've learned also friend of the pod David from Vancouver. He used to run an amazing record shop and venue called Zoo Shop. Cool guy, but also one of these guys who's always consuming so much media. I can just tell he's sending me fucked up Green Day remixes in the middle of the night. I don't know how he has time to consume all this media. And then I found out he listens to our podcast at 3 times the speed.
3 times?
And I tried it out. I forgot that you could do that. I tried it out and it actually pitch shifts the voice so that it sounds like us talking coked out, basically.
Sick. What do you think?
But I was thinking maybe for maybe so that they can hear anyone who listens to it fast, so they can hear what our normal voices sound like. We could just talk really slow when we're about to introduce the song.
We should definitely just make the podcast longer by talking slower. That's a great idea. I think everyone would appreciate that.
He does. I think he's giving us too much credit for our comedic timing too, because he's listening to it.
Oh yeah, he thinks we're really quick when in fact we drag every joke out for as long as possible.
For coming up to 21 episodes now.
Oh my God,
dragging out every joke.
Hell yeah, very proud. Well, okay. Are we good?
But let's introduce the song slow, so that I'd like to do it slower so that he hears our normal cadence as we talk. So
okay,
I'm gonna start with. Sam, you are in Los Angeles right now. What song will we talk about?
I want to take his face off. Los Angeles.
Was that a slow Nicolas Cage impression?
Yeah.
Is that a line? I've never seen that movie. Is that a line from it?
You've never seen Face Off, guy?
I think I watched it in the middle of the night at a sleepover one time or something.
That must have made absolutely no sense to you then.
I thought you were like confessing something to me.
Yeah, no, dude. I actually was planning to edit that part out. I was just getting super weird. So this song is, I don't want to say divisive, because I think most people land very firmly on one side of it. And when we called each other on Skype right before we were recording, it was clear to me that you were having a really tough time, dealing with this song. And so, I want to talk to you first and really sort of get a sense of, I assume you hate this song, and then I want to sort of get a gauge of just how much you hate this song.
Okay, I'm already angry at everything you just said. The song is not divisive, as you say, or divisive, as I would say. At all. In fact, this song is tearing apart the entire Blink-182 community. And I was looking at it on Reddit, and my skin was crawling. I was getting so upset because it's as if they're debating the 2016 election. Like, they're literally always using the phrase straw man about this song.
Really?
And they're like, nice circular logic straw man, whatever, ad hominem or whatever. Like, they say like all of the...
What does ad hominem even mean? Because ad hominem much, and I've never tried to understand those words.
It's one of those like things that, like, I don't know, those people who like to debate about things online, who are all idiots, they love to say that phrase. But I think it just means I'm
smart people with this podcast. But anyway,
exactly. Yeah. No. So basically, it's tearing apart Blink-182 on Reddit. There are people who say things like, "This song doesn't sound like Blink-182, and it's terrible. It sounds nothing like Blink-182." And then people are like, nice straw man. How could it not sound like Blink-182 when it is Blink-182? And then it just like, it goes on, like it's hundreds of comments, and it's so upsetting. And I feel personally attacked and offended by anyone who says that they like this song. And I'll face you if I have to when you're about to tell me that you like it. But I feel personally attacked. And the reason I'm so like exhausted is that I sort of started doing research for it on the weekend. And then you've sort of had to bump the recording a couple times now, and every time I get so deep into research now, the song just like stays in my head, and I lay awake at night and it stays in my head, and so I've been like haunted by this song, and I was worried you were going to bump it today, and tonight would be another sleepless night of that horrible humming chorus that's not really a chorus.
So basically, like, you've been sort of constipated with Los Angeles knowledge and hooks, and this is sort of us. This is an enema. This is like a Los Angeles enema.
Please get it out of me. Well, actually, I did. I tried
your
to.
System.
I actually, when someone is being plagued by something and they need to get it off their chest, what they might do if they are a religious person, particularly in the Catholic faith, is they might go to the confessional booth. And I'm not a Catholic, but I did do what the closest thing is for me is, and I did a confession at the Blink-182 Confessions Instagram page.
Oh, we have not acknowledged yet the fact that you made it onto the page. So for people who've been listening to prior episodes of this podcast, I don't remember which one it was, but you sort of delved into your obsession with Blink-182 Confessions on Instagram, and you made it, man.
So now I've been on it again because this one is just a normal confession. I don't even necessarily need to admit that it was me, but it was. And I wrote, the song Los Angeles is so awful, and when people tell me they like it, I feel my skin start crawling and fill with rage. 163 likes, but guess what? They're fighting about it in the comments.
Ad hominem in the comments?
No one said ad hominem yet, but I do like Claudia and Sandra, God bless them. They wrote, Claudia and I are the only ones that actually like our English teacher. Rest in peace. Shrug emoji, Sandra. Love those girls.
Shrug
Gotta have
emoji.
them on the pod. So even I made a confession and it didn't help. So I feel like until we basically get this episode out of our systems, I'm going to be haunted by this song that I hate so much.
Well, I also have posted on the internet about the song Los Angeles, and it actually provides a very useful timeline for me in terms of tracking my own relationship with this song. So on October 23rd, 2016 at 4:21 p.m., so I mean almost cool and nice, I wrote, "It happened to me. I kept listening to Blink-182's California until I started to legitimately enjoy Los Angeles."
Oh, no.
Yeah, man.
You normalized it.
I did. That's the thing, is you just get exposed. This is basically the Overton window. So we're talking about, MAGA chud, Reddit internet nonsense. And, this idea that you sort of shock and awe with kind of extreme political, positions in the hopes of kind of moving the center further to the right. And essentially it's based on sort of exposure to more extreme imagery and extreme ideas that gradually normalizes what you previously would have considered to be extreme positions. And that's what happened here, is I kept listening to California. I didn't skip this song for some fucking reason until eventually, I just started to enjoy it. And that is the position that I hold to this day on the song Los Angeles. I'm very sorry, Josiah. I know.
I do. I will say this. I do have one nice memory of it. Last fall, my wife and I, wife of the pod, Sarah, we went on a road trip to a wedding, and then we drove down. It was in Portland, and then we drove down the West Coast, and we just kind of went on a nice long road trip. And Sarah timed it perfectly so that when we were driving under a Los Angeles sign on the highway, she zoomed it in as they sang that shitty hook, and it was a really funny Instagram video. But
I've seen that video.
Friends,
you should share that again on the Blink-155 Instagram.
Okay, I will. I'll re-gram her. It's a funny video, but at the time, well, not even at the time. I mean, none of our friends listened to this garbage album by this band, so no one really got it. Went over everyone's head, but it was quite funny, and we had a little chuckle in the car, and that was a nice memory of this song, otherwise, that I hate with all my being.
Yeah, that's just a nice memory of loving your wife and having a good time with her, which is very sweet. But still, I feel like you're shading the song because ultimately you were making fun of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
it's rude, man. So I think we need to jump into the argument that this song doesn't sound like Blink-182, because even though straw man, et cetera, it doesn't. This song is so out of left field, and it comes so early on the record.
Well, okay, I do want to say other than the ad hominem and nice straw man, there was one great quote from a Reddit fight, and I wrote it down. Justin Gittleman Music is the username, and he said, "Enjoy the song, but I could write a book on why this song is worthy of hate from a Blink fan and just a music fan in general. Not claiming it's objectively bad, but some pretty obvious and easily acceptable reasons."
Yeah, I think that's a defensible position.
I would like to read that book.
Yeah,
actually.
You know what? If I think we should publish that book.
Justin Gittleman, we can make it at least an ebook.
This is what I'm thinking.
Write that book.
So maybe we can at him in that thread or whatever. I don't know if you have a secret dark alt Reddit account or something you can use, but
not really. I keep getting shadow banned because I just share my exclaim articles on Reddit and don't do anything else, and they figure out that I'm just trying to get
promote.
those clicks.
That's funny.
Give me those clicks, guys.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day.
I'll just start randomly writing ad hominem on other threads.
Oh, that's all you need to do. Yeah,
self promo.
So I just want to say this. We should reach out to him and offer to publish it under the Blink-155 Books banner, because I would love to read that.
Publishing Co.
But we would promote it. You and I are not big on Twitter, but there are smaller accounts than ours. And, this podcast might not be the most popular Blink-182 podcast on the internet, but it's one of them.
I'm just waiting for another book to read, so this is perfect timing, really.
What are the two you've read? You've read the Travis Barker biography and The Disaster Artist,
right, about the making of The Room.
So this would be a nice sort of a third to kind of round out your experience with literature.
I have read half of Kill All Normies, the Angela Nagel book, but I literally find a typo on every page, and it's so aggravating, and it makes me want to join the alt-right.
It's an amazing book that misspells Barack Obama's name in the first sentence on the first page, and that's a tough one. So I kind of hate the idea of feeling bad about liking something, you know? I mean, I think it's like it's just stupid. If you like something, it's good to you, and taste is just a subjective, meaningless, thing. I don't know. Not all of us, you haven't. Everyone has read Carl Wilson's book about Celine Dion, and I'm just trying to regurgitate.
Oh yeah, I've read some of that actually.
Yeah, so you kind of have the general.
I read books, I just don't finish them.
So Carl Wilson wrote a 33 1/3 book about Celine Dion's The Power of Love. What the fuck is that? The Strength of Love? So
who cares?
Who cares? All about A Journey to the End of Taste is the subtitle. He got shouted out by Franco, your boy, on the Oscars red carpet, and subsequently was on Stephen Colbert.
This is a key part of my James Franco cover story, actually.
There we go. Dropping, just
thanks
always
for
self-promoting.
revealing that you haven't read it.
I haven't. You know what I did, though? I finally listened to the prenup masters you sent, and they're fucking great.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any labels out there who listen to Blink-155.
Yeah. You guys should put out Josiah's great band with his wife of the pod.
Self-promo corner.
So, that book sort of very intelligently and with a great more depth than I'm about to offer kind of explores the idea of taste. And if people like something, and critics hate it, is it bad? Like, what does that even mean? And so...
Yeah, and ultimately, I will say to you, that is one of my favorite arguments in life. And I love it. And I think it's like a really important thing. And it's almost even classist to divide things based on whatever arbitrary things have been set up by society. But I think appreciating Blink-182 is already going to the so-called journey to the end of taste.
Yeah.
And sort of lifting up Blink-182 as art, which we do, is already exploring these like boundaries of taste and gatekeepers and whatnot. And I think that's different because Los Angeles sucks ass.
I mean... Yeah, I think you not liking Los Angeles is actually a very classist position for you to take, and frankly outs you as an enemy of progress and of sort of true socialist change in North America, and that's fine. That's sort of your position. But I think it's interesting. Like for me, I love this song. I objectively think that it is wretched, but. I don't know that it's fair to kind of hold, like, how can I say I like something and then also think that it's shit? So I struggle with sort of how I have compartmentalized my complex feelings about this Linkin Park song or whatever the fuck it is.
I know you want the episode to be short, but it sounds like you're already going for final thoughts and we haven't even talked about it yet.
No, okay.
So what, I guess for starters, what do you like about this song?
I think the hooks are good. Like I think the sort of isolated pieces of the bridge, the chorus, like it's dumb. That's so dumb, but I think it's a good. I think they're all sort of isolated. I think they're good hooks. The stupid cold chamber kind of rhythms of the verses I think are really good. I like the bridge. I like every part of this song. I just think like if this was a Linkin Park song, I would be like, it's actually like a pretty sick Linkin Park song. I would never listen to it.
I guess the other thing is like, I know that when a celebrity dies, we're all supposed to pretend that we've always loved all their work. Mm-hmm. But I just can't do that. Like I honestly have never liked Linkin Park and I never will. And I think they're also bad. So maybe that's where there's this divide.
That's honestly a really fucked up thing for you to say, man, because Chester's dead. And I just don't know that buddy. I can continue to do this podcast with someone who would mock someone who died by suicide.
I know that I didn't mock him yet.
Wow. You insulted his legacy.
I know that, like...
You didn't mock him yet. Are you getting ready to mock a...
Dying is like the ultimate album promo. It worked for David Bowie.
Yeah.
It worked for Prince, I think. Probably put something out right after. Like... It's like a way to clear the shelves of your music, but unfortunately, this one didn't work on me. I just cannot get into Linkin Park at all.
I never liked Linkin Park, but I do think
until he died, and then now you're like,
I stand hard.
I bet you did a tweet. I bet you anything you did a tweet.
I did not. I don't tweet about people like when people die, who I like genuinely care about. Like I love David Bowie. He died. He was old, and everyone knew he was dying for the last 10 years. I don't think I tweeted about it.
We're all dying.
Everyone is dying. Some of us, faster than others. Some of us more deliberately than others. But
I will say, actually, I get really grossed out when people do the whole like someone died and then they share a photo of them with the person or like I interviewed him one time, he was really cool. But it's true. There are people like last week, Fred Cole from the band Dead Moon died, and that band was so sick. And his other band, The Rats and Pierce Arrows, they were all really good bands that were important to me. And I did remember what it's like to feel something, and I felt a little bit sad that he died.
Yeah, so I don't want to take that away from people, but yeah, people making it about themselves is always like, did you need to post that? Like, did you need to jump into the discourse?
There's someone that I'll message you about after we're done that we both know. That with another friend, we sort of do fan fiction. When someone dies in the media, we sort of try to guess what their tweet is going to be, and we're usually pretty close.
I mean, my favorite was, and I think this really became like a great sort of meme, specifically following the death of David Bowie, because that brought on just like an onslaught of unnecessarily personal takes that were all, the joke being like, David Bowie taught me it was okay to be weird. Some fucking accountant, right? And every time someone dies now, it's just like, they taught me how to be strange.
There's a couple of variations of that are amazing. This guy, Limmy, the Glaswegian comedian who's sort of like Tim and Eric, he always, when someone dies now, he says, I met so-and-so at a charity do once. He was down to earth and surprisingly very funny. And he literally does it anytime like any politician or anyone dies. He does that verbatim tweet. And then there's this guy on like quote unquote weird Twitter. He actually got banned. I can't remember what his old account was called. I think it was called Ulysses or something. But because when someone would die, he would write, this is an intentional explicit threat on the life of blank. I'm going to kill you. But like they had just died, so it would be, he couldn't get in trouble. But then it ended up that like one of the dudes falsely was reported as being dead but was still alive. So then he got banned for threatening him. So yeah, that's too bad.
So, this song definitely sounds like a Linkin Park song, R.I.P. I don't own any Linkin Park albums, but I think, One Step Closer, I think that song is fucking sick.
I really like, there's that one, what's that Linkin Park video that's like,
you're just Googling Linkin Park videos right now? I can hear you.
There's
I'm also not going to edit this out. Like, I want people to know that this is what...
Oh, I can't find it. It was like a really funny like video that was scenes from 9/11. There's our obligatory 9/11 thing. But it was like, there was a cartoon mixed in, too. It was so funny.
Was it supposed to be funny?
I don't know. I couldn't... It was like anime mixed with Linkin Park mixed with 9/11.
Oh, fuck. So, do you think this song sounds...
So that's the one... I'm just saying that's the one time I've liked Linkin Park.
Is when... of course, that's the one time you liked Linkin Park.
Yeah. I think this song does sound like Linkin Park. I also think it sounds a lot like POD. And somebody posted that it sounds like Hollywood Undead, who I've never heard, but I believe it.
Hollywood Undead are like, they wear masks and they play like kind of new metal emo trash, and it's super sick. So no wonder I like this.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's be honest, Sam. You like some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah,
and
dude.
So do I.
Yeah.
We talk about, like, we always talk about how I like, drawings of furries with full diapers or whatever. And I do. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But you like some awful things.
Yeah, it's true. And I've, I spent a lot of time probably in my 20s pretending I liked things that were cooler. And I do. I like some very cool things. But for the most part, my tastes, my true, like, in my own time tastes, walking home, just having a nice time. I mean, I will put on the song Los Angeles just to enjoy it. And that's like a true snapshot of my inner self.
Right. Like I was telling you when we were hanging out in person how much I love cringe watching the documentary about the making of Green Day's American Idiot musical.
Yeah.
And then you were just telling me how much you love that musical. Like, I think we almost
like the
same things for the wrong reason.
Don't misrepresent my opinion. I love American Idiot, the album. I thought
you said you liked the musical, too.
I do not like the musical. I think the musical is incredibly goofy.
Well, then that same conversation, you went on a 15-minute rant about how you love musicals and you love Hamilton. So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, there's no easy exit here, and I do think some of the melodies in the song almost sound like a Disney. It's like na 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 na. It's like kind of a musical.
Yeah, it's like kind of
about
Andrew Lloyd
LA.
Webbery. No,
Yeah.
when you sing it like that, if you were to be like, "Hey, do you remember this song from like the second act of Phantom of the Opera?" Na, 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 na. That's straight up Andrew Lloyd Webber shit.
So maybe that's why you like it, and it sort of has
That's
the
it, dude.
rapping like Hamilton, like day in day out, like the sing rapping.
Holy shit! This is just a fucking Hamilton song played heavy instead of like played like the Roots or whatever.
So the other thing that people have compared it to is the song "Centuries" by Fall Out Boy, which I don't know if you've heard it, but it's like I couldn't remember, and I revisited it, and
I could just
would
think of
love that time back.
The chorus of that is just "Remember me for century," but I can't think of how the verses go at all. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the verses are sort of like, and like the melody of the chorus is similar to this because it's dumb and just them singing the title of the song, and then the verses are like, it's sort of like there's just like all these like weird trap beats and stuff. And I know that like Travis. I think I respect Travis. It's Travis's birthday today while we're talking right now.
Oh, so happy birthday, Travis.
Yeah, and I respect that he's like sort of a part of hip hop. Like he's he's always like hanging out at Young Thug shows and like everyone looks up to him, and I think he's like a cool guy, but I don't know if it always works when he tries to add these like hip hop flourishes to Blink songs.
Yeah, this is definitely like a new metal hip hop song, and I think in that sense, like, I love it because I, very genuinely adored, Limp Bizkit and all of that sort of trash back in the day. And I still enjoy it. Like, there's a Limp Bizkit cover band from Montreal that comes to Toronto once or twice a year called Pimp Bizkit, sometimes with a Korn cover band, also from Montreal, called Porn, sometimes with a Cypress Hill cover band, also from Montreal, called Cypress Chill. Most recently, they actually came with a Slipknot band called Not Slip, and they were tight.
So all these bands are from Montreal, and I'm just wondering, like, how many degrees of separation are these bands from Arcade Fire? Like one, maybe?
Yeah, totally. They
like
all
probably
have
they've shared a member. They've probably shared a practice space or a back line or a member.
Yeah, it's just too small of a sort of creative community for a Butler brother to have not been in Pimp Bizkit at one point or another. Absolutely.
Well, I just want to read you. There's this, because we're talking about California. Our close friend Feldy, he did a track-by-track breakdown of every song.
I always forget that we get to talk about him during the California eps, and
yeah,
it's a nice surprise every time.
We're gonna have to do a exclusive at some point about the new Goldfinger album that Travis is on.
Oh, totally, yeah.
But anyway, so let's hear what Feldy has to say about this on Fuse.tv. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't know what his voice sounds like. Otherwise, I'd do an impression. But you'll just have to hear it in McLovin voice, I guess.
Okay.
That was song 3 that we had written. We were in an experimental phase of what is Blink-182 4.0. We have the first 2 records. That was college pop punk. We have the Jerry Finn era, the Mark Trombino era, the self-produced era, and the new member era of Blink. This is one of the songs where we wanted to incorporate Travis, who is so clearly hip-hop minded, this unique drummer. How do we incorporate that? We set up a mini drum kit and an electronic drum kit and said, Travis, play a bunch of beats over this halftime groove for the chorus. I don't know if you want to stop and talk about that, or there's still a whole other paragraph.
Well, it's just weird because, like, is the chorus the hip-hop part? I mean, it's really not. The chorus is just, like, big, nothing modern rock. That has no hip-hop vibe
let's be honest,
to it.
Feldy's a fucking dumbass. I'm just going to keep reading.
Okay.
We talked about all of us coming from San Diego for the most part, or at least spending a lot of time in San Diego, Travis from Riverside and then Laguna, to all of us now living in Los Angeles and what the city means to us. I'd say Los Angeles is definitely the heaviest song on the record. We needed to experiment on the darker side of where Neighborhoods left off, where Blink-182 left off. We always thought the song was going to be the name of the record and the first single because it's so dark and heavy and rebellious for what Blink fans were maybe expecting. In the end, Bored to Death was the clear choice for first single. Mark, he's so famous for those bass chords. He came up with the bridge part on the fly, and that part again was written on the fly, maybe in 15 minutes.
The 6th Street Bridge downtown was getting blown up or torn down when we were writing this song. It felt very timely. Blink has never been a political band, but touching on what happens when you live in a big city, life here is different from life growing up in the suburbs.
They think
that was painful. That actually hurt my soul to read all of that.
Sorry, so they think that this is like a political song?
Yeah, and I was clicking around on Genius, and they're like, I mean, the 6th Street Bridge is like that bridge you always see in movies where they're sort of driving through the viaduct, and it's in it's in the Good Charlotte video for The River, and I think it was in a Blink video too. It's like,
it's in every LA, yeah.
Yeah, it's like but they blew up the bridge while they were recording it. And then I guess that's why the song is political, or because he says "Wake me up when the war is over."
Yeah,
or
and I think
because it's like I guess the theme of the song is like Los Angeles is a place where your dreams can come true, but it's also a place where there's darkness and a bridge blows up.
Well, there's the bit after the bridge where it's like listen to the voices south of 5th, which is like, I guess, like South Central LA and where life is tough for some people who apparently you think you have better taste than, because we've established earlier that you are classist.
I'm pretty sure I would hope that none of those people like this song.
No. Can you imagine living in a rough part of Los Angeles and hearing this song and being like, shit, man, they nailed it. Well,
I felt embarrassed barreling down the highway with the windows closed listening to this song.
You're worried
so
someone would hear?
I can only imagine if someone could hear you. Yeah. And okay, also I just want to say this sentence from Feldy, Mark, he's so famous for these bass chords. He came up with that bridge part on the fly. And then that part was written in 15 minutes. Like, you mean the part where he just plays 3 notes that are like power chords on a bass? Like, Oh my God, this guy who's been doing this for like half of his life was able to come up with 3 bass chords on the fly? Oh my God, that's so impressive.
Yeah, if you had told me that had taken longer than 15 minutes, I certainly would have been mortified. Yeah, to me, first of all, I wish this was the first single from the record, because I remember when Bored to Death came out, and it was like, oh, sick. Like, Bored to Death sounds different, but it sounds like Blink, and Bored to Death is a great fucking song. And this song is I appreciate the idea of wanting to kind of shock people and say, hey, this is a new Blink. But holy fuck, can you imagine? I wish I was in the meeting with the label where they were like, and here's the song we think is the first single. Blink, 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 day in, day out. Fucking POD riffs just reverberating off of the office walls. Fuck.
Yeah, I know. And first I'm going to say, Feldy saying that it's the most heavy song on the record, this is heavy music for people who have never heard actual heavy music. I can guarantee everyone involved with this song has never heard Hatebreed before.
Yeah, you know that's fair.
This is someone's idea of heavy music.
Yeah, it's like someone told you about Hatebreed and you're like, cool, I get it. Los Angeles.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think I honestly do think, even when you just sang that, I think the reason you like it is because it's like a musical.
No, you actually, I think, have helped me work through my feelings on this song, which is it's a Hamilton song, but just played with a few additional layers of distorted guitars, which, I'm chemically wired to think are sick. And that's it. That's the only reason that I like it. And I feel actually much more at peace with my own opinions now.
Great.
Yeah, so this is actually helping me. I hope at the end of this podcast you feel the same degree of peace that I am now experiencing.
I'm being tormented. I just keep reliving when the 6th Street Bridge was torn down.
I know it was an awful event for you.
But the funny thing about this is that, as we've established on this album, where they brag about writing every song in 5 minutes, they also had multiple co-writers, which they've never really done before. But the weird thing about this song is that there's no co-writers, but it sounds like Fall Out Boy and it sounds like Evanescence. Now, Patrick Stump and David Hodges from Evanescence both have multiple writing credits on this album, but neither of them are on Los Angeles. So maybe they were just trying to get the studio ready for those guys to come in. So they just sort of warmed it up with the new metal.
Trying to establish a vibe? That's so weird. It's so strange. I remember hearing this song and thinking this clearly was some attempt in a writing session to do something different. And then when the bonus tracks for California were released, and a lot of them kind of sound like this, I feel like Los Angeles was ultimately the blueprint for way more of what they wrote for this record than songs like Cynical or Bored to Death. And maybe that's revealed in another Feldy interview, and we should obviously save that info for one of the next 135 episodes of this podcast.
Right.
But it's sort of distressing to feel like this is ultimately the direction that the band is excited by.
I know, and I'm just really the way that they've described this as being their most experimental song is like, it's not experimental. Like, fine, maybe you like it, maybe people like it because of whatever their style and their aesthetics that they're attracted to are different than mine. That's fine. I mean, I'm still right, but I'll accept it.
Yeah.
But like, this is not experimental in any way. It's a collection of bad. This sounds like a knockoff of Grand Theft Auto for PS2. Like, you would be listening to this song while you're driving around their shitty remake of that Viaduct. You know, like, this is not experimental. This sounds like generic radio hard rock.
This is extremely Grand Theft Auto 2. That's very apt.
Like, I really think that this proves, and I know it's not Tom's season, but this proves that you can't experiment without Tom, because he may or may not be insane, but he like takes them to these weird directions that are way more like he's the only one who truly knows how to experiment. Mark is clearly very good at writing throwback Blink-182 pop punk songs, but you can't experiment without Tom, because then you just write this like weird Fearless Records comp song.
Well, it's just funny to describe this as the band's most experimental song when, you know, easily their most successful record has songs like All of This featuring Robert Smith on it. And that's an insane song. I heard I Miss You on the radio like yesterday and could not believe how fucking weird that song actually is. And that's for another episode. But to then describe this Fearless Records ass song as somehow more experimental than those songs from a vastly superior collection of you know, weird but like hyper catchy, you know, Blink anthems is disrespectful, you know?
I agree. Yeah. And another thing along those lines is like I feel like all of this sort of tossing things off going on in this album, like just like, oh, we just like did it quickly. I understand first thought, best thought. I agree with that too most of the time. But there are aspects of it where it feels a little bit slapped together. Like, I feel like they just spent an afternoon where like, let's write an experimental song, and then came up with this new metal song.
Well, in terms of things feeling slapped together, right before we started recording, we always listen to the song, and so I just threw on the lyric video for it, and was kind of watching it as I was listening, and the lyric video seemingly gets some of the lyrics in the song wrong.
Sam, this is again kismet. You just I was about to make that segue, not knowing that you had noticed this as well.
Well, this is all the magic of Los Angeles.
I was just setting up the alley-oop, and you'd fucking dunked it.
Except then you talked about it for like 30 seconds, and you've destroyed the organic momentum that we've developed as podcast hosts.
Sorry, let's start the whole episode again.
So, Josiah, how's it going? Oh, fuck that. So, I wasn't able to commit to that joke.
They get lyrics wrong in the lyric video.
So I only noticed it in, you know, Wake Me When the War Is Over, Meet Me Where the Skylight Ends. And already I was watching this lyric video that has like 3 million views and thinking it looks like one of those automatically generated karaoke visualizers. I mean, it's just like, It's the font that they started using around this record, but just like generic backgrounds and like weird text effects, and not in a sort of throwback, cool, kitschy way, in a way that just looked like fucking iMovie being manipulated by a 12-year-old.
It looks like this lyric video looks like one of those videos that you press play on and the audio is missing or has been swapped out with a different song. So
yeah.
They got a takedown notice.
And like,
but it's uploaded by Blink-182.
Lyric videos have become an art form unto themselves. There's like amazing lyric videos.
There's actually a couple good ones from this album where they, well, not good, but okay, where they had used like this sort of hand-painted watercolor, like it looked like it was handwritten lyrics with paint that was animated in a cool way.
Well, there's just so much you can do now, with motion graphics, and there's someone at the label, there's some kid that's friends with your kid that's like amazing with whatever apps they use to do this shit, and like there's kind of no excuse for something A, to look this shitty, and B, to get the lyrics wrong. It's a lyric video.
Right. There's
fucking
one
insane.
job.
Yeah, you had one
job. To make it
job.
even better, at least the freeze frame I'm on, the word skylight is appearing with a whole bunch of like lights pointed towards the sky. Like I think maybe the person designing this was given the wrong lyrics because they've like put the lyrics over a stock image of lights pointing towards the sky.
And it just feels so lazy, like you said. I mean, it just adds to the sense that you just wonder if anyone ever gave a shit.
Although the weird thing is, yeah, I mean, like we haven't even said it. The original lyric is supposed to be where the skyline ends.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like, how would you meet? You could meet someone where the skyline ends, I guess, poetically. You cannot even in metaphor meet someone where the skylight ends, and it's skylight.
I'm looking at a screenshot where the sky is behind a row of lights pointing at the.
So you got to climb a skylight.
You have to climb up there to meet.
But that's not a skylight. That's a street light. Like a skylight is in a house.
Exactly.
So
I don't know. I mean,
do they want you to meet them on the roof? Like, is it some sort of
maybe this person also had to do like all of the lyric videos, and they already because like for example. Life is too short to last long does not make sense as a lyric. It should be life is too short to feel long, not to last long. That doesn't work. So maybe they were just thinking like, whatever. Sometimes the lyrics don't make sense. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, it's a bad video. That's the only prep I did for this episode. So, enjoy it.
I'm so glad that I was able to set it up for you perfectly.
I know, that was amazing, man. So
let me see what else I have in my notes. I have written down people who like this song are literally stupid. This is one thing I want. Oh, sorry. Are you trying to say something?
I just wanted to ask if there was any other like Reddit opinions, because so far I was really enjoying those.
Well, ultimately, it's just a bunch of arguing about basically life. I'm actually surprised that Godwin's Law has not been evoked yet.
Is Godwin's Law the one where eventually people start comparing someone else to like Hitler?
Yeah, or like the Holocaust gets mentioned.
Right.
I haven't seen that happen yet, but I'm sure it's minutes away from happening on here.
Although I feel like you're trending in that direction, where like you're getting more and more wound up, and by the end of this, you'll be like, honestly, if you like Los Angeles by Blink-182, it's the equivalent of liking Hitler. Like you're in the wrong. It's not defensible. I won't accept.
I do kind of think that. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Godwin's Law.
There you go. You just did it, man. Congrats.
There is one Reddit theory, and I can't tell if this person was intentionally doing like a shit post at first or not, because it's so dumb. The username, sorry, I'm just burping quietly.
Yeah, I was like, do you want me to interject here? I'm not really sure what the expectation is. But that was a quiet burp, man. That was very polite.
Yeah, thank you. I take a lot of pride in not ruining my McLovin voice. The user's name is Glebe Stadium, and they wrote, "Does anyone else think Blink wrote Los Angeles right after they watched the 2011 movie Battle Los Angeles?" And then they added, "This would explain the weird intro music, 'Can You Save Me?' and 'Wake Me Up When the War Is Over.' Just a theory."
Someone should see if you put Los Angeles on an infinite loop, it syncs up Dark Side of the Moon style with
Battle Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
we can make that part of the Blink 155 sort of film screening that's eventually going to come with Pursuit of Tone and the Urethra Chronicles.
Right. Well, there are multiple people who make fun of Glebe Stadium and sort of pile on him or her. And then Glebe Stadium responds and just says, "I wasn't serious."
Oh, no. I honestly, I back you, Glebe Stadium, and I think we should conduct an experiment and just see how it works, you know? You got to try.
Have I seen this movie, Battle Los Angeles?
No,
Is
no
this one of
one's
those straight to DVD movies, or
There was, I mean, it was in theaters, but I doubt you saw it.
Oh, Aaron Eckhart. Remember him?
He's amazing.
I'm just trying to see if Nicolas Cage is in here because that would really be a nice.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no.
He's
Sorry.
in a lot of terrible fucking movies, but
I really gotta say I love the Left Behind remake that he did when he's cheating on his wife. He's the pilot and he's cheating on his wife with a stewardess.
Mm-hmm.
And his big you work in the music biz. You probably when you cheat on your wife, you can relate to this.
yeah.
His big thing was like he pulled aside the stewardess and was like, "Hey, when we land in London, I got VIP seats to U2." And she's like, "Oh my god!" And he takes her to U2.
That's what I do. I say, we land in Los Angeles, and I say, hey, I've got a meeting with, I don't know, man. I have nothing funny to say there. That's hard.
This bit isn't very funny, especially because it's predicated on abusing your power in the workplace to be inappropriate with people.
You're right. That
which is
wasn't
also,
okay.
It's funny I was thinking about this song Los Angeles. It's like about the dark side of LA, which like really is getting worse and worse every day the more you read about it. I mean, it's not that it's actually getting worse, but you're learning more and more like, and the people who were once sort of written off by society as sounding a little bit crazy, like maybe Corey Feldman, you're like, maybe LA is just one giant fucking pedophile ring, or like, like there's just like, you hear these horrific things. And then it's like, it's not just like the dark side of LA isn't just like your dreams get crushed. It's like your literal entire psyche gets crushed.
And that's why I hopped on a plane to come here. I was like, I want to know real darkness.
Are you? Yeah.
This is
doing
like
a sort of Alex Jones style.
No, I'm doing more like a sort of
Bilderberg group exploration.
No, it's like more of a sort of Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
I'm Charles Marlowe, just going up the river, trying to kind of see just how fucked up things have gotten.
So what have you learned so far?
So far I've learned that the traffic is bad and that Keith Morris eats at this really nice Lebanese restaurant in Los Feliz, I think was the neighborhood. There's like 30,000 neighborhoods here. I don't really understand.
Yeah, I've been to Los Feliz. My friend took me for breakfast there.
Did you see Keith Morris, though? Because I did.
No, but I told another friend who lives in L.A., yeah, I went for breakfast in Los Feliz. And they're like, oh, did that guy just move here? Like, that's where all the noobs go.
Yeah, well, fuck that. Keith Morris is not an L.A. noob, so, they don't know shit, man.
He was just hanging out with birthday boy Travis Barker the other day. So you're, like, really circling in. Hopefully you're circling in on hanging out with Blink and not on accidentally going to an Eyes Wide Shut style sex cult party.
Yeah, that's where I hope my Los Angeles experience is trending. I think it's also worth pointing out that Blink-182 has favorited 2 Blink-155 tweets in the last week. So like, I'm seeing people that have seen Travis Barker. Blink-182 is seeing our tweets. Like, we're eyeing each other from across the room. Like, it's all happening.
We are literally excited about the most pathetic things on earth.
Yeah, I literally took a screenshot of Blink favoriting a tweet and sent it to you and was like, oh, fuck, dude.
They actually, they faved a tweet in response to Jessica Delisle's photo. She posted a photo of her in her room as a teen with her Blink-182 posters, the guest from last week. And one of her friends had replied, I can't remember what they said, but Blink-182 faved it and then unfaved it immediately.
Ooh.
But it showed up in my notifications. So I see you guys. I know what you're doing. I know what you guys are doing.
So listen, I have to meet my boss, so I can't be late in like 10 minutes. So do you have any covers? Okay. Are there covers of this song?
There are terrible covers of this. First, before we do that, we don't have to do tons of covers because they all suck ass.
Yeah, I believe that.
A lot of people on Reddit said that they saw this live video and it changed their mind and the song became their favorite. And it's like the worst fucking thing I've ever heard. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this.
Yeah. Angeles. When will you save me? Los Angeles. When will you save me? Los Angeles. I'm a changed man. I can't wait. I can't wait to go out into these streets and be saved.
Oh, I hate it.
It's so good, man. Like after shitting on it for 54 minutes, and then hearing it again, I'm right back where I was when I started, man.
I don't think you've ever been. Did that still sound like Hamilton to you? I mean, also they're both so pitchy. Maybe it's just because again we've talked about the way that it's mixed from the board or something. It's so pitchy sounding.
Yeah, but it's so good still. I know.
Okay,
so what do you got in terms
you
of
have to go. You don't want to get fired.
I don't want to get fired.
Eyes wide shut party.
I gotta go get in a fucking fur pile at some weird secret club.
The end of that movie, Society, is about to happen to you.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, here's a guy named Six Fiction doing a vocal cover in his car. And I think the reason he's in his car is because he's intercut the cover with clips of him scoring goals in the game Rocket League, where you play soccer with a car.
Okay.
That game rules. But anyways, obviously that's just a visual thing, but it's great that I get to watch Rocket League while we listen to this.
That sounds great.
Okay, here we go.
Day in, day out, up at 3 a.m. with the searchlight shining down. Day in, day out, it's a blinding light underneath the dirt downtown. Oh, listen to the sound as they bomb the 6th Street Bridge. Oh, listen to the sound of the voices of the Fifth. Los Angeles, when will you save me? Los Angeles, when will you save me? Los Angeles.
I mean, it sounded like he sounded almost like a Family Guy voice actor or something.
It's very Seth MacFarlane, which actually like really just emphasizes how fucking musical this song is. Like Seth MacFarlane is just like a musical boy making, nonsensical, jokes. So yeah,
It's kind of true. Or it sounded like it kind of sounded like when you are at Disneyland, another LA adjacent reference. See, I've been to LA before. Disneyland.
Wow. A regular
when you're
Angelino here.
Yeah. When you're at Disneyland and like you hear a guy singing a song from Aladdin, but it like sounds kind of fucked up because he's just like some guy. He's not like the real guy.
Yeah, not the real
Kinda reminds me of
Aladdin.
that. Yeah, if you go to Disney World, they have the real Aladdin kidnapped.
Yeah, I mean, but wait, he did that in his car?
Yeah, he was sitting in his car wearing earbuds.
Wow.
So, I don't know. Maybe they're really good earbuds. I wonder if he uses those when he's gaming and shit talking in Rocket League.
Yeah, I got all kinds of questions about that guy's rig.
Maybe I'll steal that from YouTube and put it on our socials like I've been doing lately, because I also got to say it's not just him scoring on people in Rocket League. It's like him just like casually dribbling the ball. Like it's just like very low key Rocket League footage.
Just hanging with his pals in Rocket League. I got to say, I hope you do steal that. And, if anyone is listening to this podcast who isn't following the Twitter and the Instagram, I can say this objectively because you run them and I don't. They are so fucking funny because all of the just horrifying nonsense that you find and punish, me and our great sort of listeners with every week is all up there, and it's sort of full visual glory. And I delight in it, and I hope that if you haven't already hit follow on your favorite social app, you will do that because it's so tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know you have to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish with this one final cover.
Sick.
It's a piano cover. There's mostly just garbage acoustic covers, but this is a piano cover. The username is Chiz Time, and it has 15 views only.
Oh.
So let's be number 16.
16, hell yeah.
I forgot what that sounded like, but That's so Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It just sounds like Andrew Lloyd Webber. And it sounds like maybe we were being too kind when we said it was from like a Phantom of the Opera level Andrew Lloyd Webber. That's like a Sunset Boulevard. Holy shit. I didn't even think about the fact that that's Los Angeles. It sounds
I don't know musicals. I've only seen the movie about the Green Day musical, so this is your realm.
So Andrew Lloyd Webber has like a very subpar, maybe the least successful Andrew Lloyd Webber musical ever, called Sunset Boulevard. Point one, I am at a hotel right now on Sunset Boulevard. Point two, that hotel and that street are in Los Angeles. And I honestly did not intend to make that connection, but this is just a kismety fucking ep, man.
Yeah, there's some magic in the air.
Yeah. Also, I'm just like too stupid to think about what I'm going to say before it comes out of my mouth.
Well, I mean, one of my notes was that people who like this song are idiots, so I'm not exactly smart either.
I guess. Although really what I'm doing by liking the song and then sort of being dumb for an hour is maybe proving your point.
Right. Although I will say, and I'm being genuine as I promised to do, we haven't said if we're down, 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 down. Whatever. I mean, I'm just happy to be alive, I guess.
Yeah, I'm super down with being alive also.
I'm being, as I promised, I'm being genuine, and having heard these covers and thinking about it more, I am starting to understand that it's not just a nu metal song, but it's a musical kind of number, and it's making me, I guess, appreciate the literalness of the lyrics a little bit more. But I don't know if they wrote the song intending for it to sound like it's from a musical, but it definitely makes me kind of appreciate it a little bit.
Well, yeah,
so I'll give you that.
Because in a musical, you're trying to move a plot forward, and so really that's all they're doing is it's dialogue.
And somehow this is part of their dumb California trilogy that's on the album. That's like San Diego, Los Angeles, and then Beige Little Boxes.
So sick.
But so I guess in that sense, they were trying to do a narrative. I think the narrative is bad, and the lyrics are bad, and the music makes me feel gross inside. But I do appreciate that it has sort of plugged into this musical brain.
Yeah. So is that your final thought?
I think so. I've upgraded from a C- to a C+.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's impressive. Before I get to my final thought, do we have a guest on this episode?
Yes, I was going to say it at the end so that we can edit it out if it falls through,
okay.
But I don't think it's going to fall
So let's leave that in. I'll do my final thought, and then we'll sort of end the episode twice.
Introduce the yes.
So my final thought is, I hope there's a guest on this episode. Who knows? I loved this song. I didn't understand my feelings towards it. I imagine it's like, when you're young and you start to experience maybe sexual feelings and you're sort of not sure what they mean and you sort of misinterpret them and you don't know what's exciting to you and what's sort of making your brain fire in a certain way. And I think to me, this was sort of similar to, growing up and sort of beginning to understand sexuality, where now I understand I'm attracted to musicals, and this song is just sort of, while it's presenting in a slightly sort of different fashion than the Hamiltons and the Phantoms of the world, it sort of it taps into that just singing and dancing part of my brain that just makes me want to, watch people tell a story through song. And I'm no longer ashamed. I give it an A+, as I always have.
I wish that you would open your window and just belt out Los Angeles into the streets, and maybe someone would sing back, "When will you save me?"
It would have been a truly magical moment. I am about to take to the streets, though, the streets of Los Angeles, and maybe I'll see Keith Morris, maybe I'll see a member of Blink-182, maybe I'll see Feldy, and if I do, I will sing to them. So
I'm really hoping, as I predicted earlier, when you name drop someone, they are outed as a sexual predator. I'm hoping this doesn't happen with Keith Morris now.
Yeah, I just can't say anyone's name on the pod, so I won't mention any friends of the pod. I won't. I'll keep your name out of my mouth.
Okay, now let's do this so we can chop this off if we have to.
Okay.
I will say a name. We have a very special guest. His name is Derek. His Twitter username is EEDRK, a misspelling of Derek, and he's a very funny man.
And I hope he's on the podcast now.
Day in, day out, up at 3 a.m. with the searchlight shining down. Day in, day out, it's a blinding light underneath the dirt downtown.
And you're still recording? Have you been doing a monologue this entire time?
No, I stopped recording. I'm not a psycho. I understand that life is partly about performance and it's partly about the silence that one needs in order to perform.
That's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I do get the impression that you are performing a lot based on your Twitter feed.
Yeah, because it's like, this guy must be doing this on purpose, right? Or else he's just someone who's insane. This guy can't be like, driven to do this compulsively, or else he would be a wreck.
But you're not. You're Derek.
That's right. Yeah, it's that's my stage name. It's just a funny word I came up with.
So that's not your birth name is not Derek.
No, of course not. It's a made up name.
Okay.
But
Are
just
we allowed to know
because
your birth name? Or?
Because it's a name that has the word wreck in it. Like, I'm a wreck of a person, and then it starts with duh, which is the stupidest syllable sound that you could imagine. Derek.
So it's pronounced
Derek.
Duh. I see. Duh. Or everything you say is Drek.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's just a goofy character I came up with many years ago, and I've been. I guess I'm turning 60 this year, so I've been performing as Derek for a good 40 years.
Oh my God! Congratulations! I assume the accolades and success are something that you really look back on through your golden years and just really feel good about.
I'm really just waiting to retire because living as this person has actually been a hell to me. I just can't keep this up much longer, And my daughters hardly recognize me as a person. They literally think I'm a person called Derek. And I say, no, I'm Dad.
Oh my God.
I'm Dad. And they just spit on me.
So I don't understand the sentences that you just said. Were they part of the bit of being Derek, or?
See, that's exactly my conundrum. People don't know how to separate me from the character.
Wow, that's horrifying.
It's a fate befitting no man, even a scoundrel.
Okay, well, we've established that your name is, for the purposes of this performance, is Derek.
That's right.
So Derek, I'd like to welcome you to the Blink 155 podcast, which is a podcast where we sort of dissect one Blink 182 song every week, one at a time. And this week we're doing a song that I particularly hate, and I actually really do like this band. But I've made you listen to this song. I guess for starters, I mean, whether this is the character Derek or the real human being beneath the shell, I've noticed that you make mixes on your Twitter, and I feel like you have pretty good taste in music. So I'm wondering, have you ever enjoyed Blink-182, or is this beneath you?
That's a great question, because most music is beneath me, and I appreciate you having the keen insight to see that. No, I like some. I mean, when I was a teenager, I listened to a little bit of Blink-182, and it was kind of like it stood in sharp contrast to like a lot of the other like shitty like emo pop punk bands that were like I was hearing in middle school, because Blink-182 had like a sense of like humor about them, and they would even when their songs were very poppy, they didn't feel like overblown or operatic or just like, I'm thinking of a lot of the emo stuff just sounds like insanely like too much. There's too much going on. The guy's freaking out the whole time. It's a mess. And I liked Blink-182 basically in contrast to that stuff. So if something was playing on the radio, if it was like Blink-182, I could stand it. So I have like fond memories of Blink-182 as a kid. And to be honest, I haven't really gone back and listened to them that much, except for this song you sent me today, which.
Right. Let's not get to that yet, because something me and the other host of this podcast, Sam, do is just kind of, the whole thing is just an excuse for us to suck our own dicks and talk about our entire life and musical trajectory. But I've noticed that you seem to be really into like post punk with all of your mixes and stuff. So I'm curious, like, how did you get into post punk from like listening to emo in middle school, like, and sort of like, have you always been into like punk adjacent thing?
Wow, that is a good question. I would say in middle school I didn't listen to emo, but I heard it. So I heard that stuff on the radio because that's what kids of the neighborhood would listen to, like that and like, you know, other stupid shit like Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit. So my relationship to music, and this is going to sound like super antisocial and like a damaged child thing to say, but I really hated all music until like I was 16. I couldn't get into any music beyond like tolerating it. So there was just like this long period of time where I didn't like anything, and I think the first band I really got into was the Pixies.
Good choice.
Yeah, if I could choose which band I got into first, I would choose the Pixies. If I was making this up, that's the band I would pick. It's a respectable choice, and but the reason I got into it isn't cool. The reason I got into them was when I was like a young boy, I watched the movie Fight Club, and at the end of the movie they played Where's My Mind? So I'll kind of offset my cool choice by saying it's because of a really lame reason that I got into them initially. And then, I went on like Kazaa or wherever the fuck, and I downloaded just single songs. And from the Pixies, I think I got into the next bands I liked were like Radiohead and Queens of the Stone Age and stuff. And in a weird way, like it was a lot of like quote unquote alternative rock and that kind of stuff. And I would like basically look up what influenced these bands or whatever. I would like read the Wikipedia page or something nerdy like that. And then I would listen to their influences, and like all of them were influenced by post-punk, and I didn't like punk, so I was like, well, I don't know, why would I like post-punk?
Right.
But for whatever reason, I kept coming back to that stuff.
Cool. Yeah, well, I noticed, like, for example, the new Proto Martyr was on one of your mixes. I love that album. It's so sick.
Oh, yeah. I've been playing that a lot lately. His lyrics are really cool. I like his delivery.
It's weird because, like, I hate things that are spoken word usually, but he somehow makes it seem cool.
Yeah, he doesn't, like, go completely into the Mark Kozelek territory where it's just like, the reason this is spoken word is because he can't fucking sing, or he can't come up with a melody.
Right.
Or he needs to fit, like, 4 paragraphs of fucking text. Like, just write a short story. Stop being an asshole.
Well, speaking of bad lyrics that should have been a short story, so I've made you listen to this. You're saying this is probably the first Blink-182 song you've listened to in many years, and it's arguably one of their worst songs. So I don't mean to taint your view of it. Maybe you liked it.
No, I'm glad you said you didn't like it, because if you would have liked it, it would have been weird because we would have had to have like a little fight about it. And I'm also glad you said it's one of their worst songs, because it was so fucking bad. And if you had just sent me like, oh yeah, this is like a good one off the new album, that would have been really weird.
Right.
I would have had to probably like listen to the rest of the album to see like what the fuck kind of stuff they're doing. Like maybe I should get back into Blink-182 ironically if it's all as bad as this,
Yeah.
They're like the fucking they kicked out the UFO guy, and now they're the Shags too.
Well, I mean, that's quite a compliment.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this song is bad in a way where there's nothing charming about how bad it is.
No, it's well, I mean, going back to the thing about how I felt like emo was like overblown and operatic, and like that whole period in like quote unquote pop punk was just like a mess because there was too much going on. That's how this song, a bunch of fucking different sections to it. Like I wasn't sure where the chorus was, and then suddenly there's a bridge that's kind of like it feels like an older Blink-182 song.
Yeah.
Like a bit more upbeat, but then it comes back to this stupid repeating section where they just say Los Angeles. And it's a song called Los Angeles on an album called California, so it's just like,
Right.
it hurts.
Well, I think what you were just saying kind of is like what we discovered on our regular episode of the podcast, which is that the song is almost like it belongs in a musical or something. Like the lyrics are so literal and it's so like,
Yeah.
and I think those emo bands you're talking about too, they're sort of like, it's almost like musical theater in a way.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It feels like somebody should be doing like jazz hands and skipping across the stage, but I guess that's what drew people into that emo shit, right? I mean, like, putting on the makeup and I don't know, they were all wearing tuxedos and like bowler
Right.
fucking hats and
Yeah. Yeah. So, but as
it was a real zazzed up genre.
exactly, as someone who lives in Los Angeles, does this song speak to you?
No, not at all. I mean, like, it's like a song somebody would write about Los Angeles if they'd never been there and they were trying to like be pretentious about it, I guess. But it's weird because like old Mark there, I mean, he's lived in Los Angeles for fucking years. Like, why is he writing such a weird trite song about it?
I know. Well, apparently because they were, I don't know how you feel about the idea of first thought, best thought, but I guess when they were doing this album, most of the songs were written like in half an hour or something. Like they would just like have an idea and then like the song has to be done in the next half hour.
I like admire maybe that working method to like achieve some kind of immediacy and punk sound or whatever, but this song doesn't have immediacy and it doesn't have a punk sound. It's not even minimal, it's like so fucking overblown. So even though they said they wrote it in a half hour, then they layered a bunch of shit on it, and it was a song that sucked that they wrote in a half hour, sure, and then they made it sound like a fucking weird dark musical,
Right.
Like I've never seen what's that one thing where it's like about Snow White, Bewitched or something?
Oh, or like Maleficent or
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, I've never seen any of that stuff, but I feel like this song could be in one of those.
yeah, totally.
Or Sweeney Todd, I don't know.
So like, what about? I mean, I don't know how old you are. You don't need to. Oh, you're 60. I forgot.
That's right.
But say you like the thing about this song is that it's people in their mid 40s writing this too, which I feel just weird about.
It's a little weird. So like going back to like Proto Martyr again, that guy's like in his 40s, and it kind of feels that way,
Right.
Because the lyrics are all about how he doesn't have money and capitalism's weird and he's not going to leave anything to his children and whatever. Those are lyrics from like a mature person who has their eye on big things, and these lyrics sound like they were maybe written by like a 17-year-old, which I guess is fine.
Right. A 17-year-old reading the Wikipedia page for the 6th Street Bridge.
But, I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would like if you would school me a little bit here. Mark Hoppus, like, Hoppus?
Hoppus, yeah, Hoppus.
Mark Hoppus. He should change it to Hoppus. Mark Hoppus, he wasn't always, like, a shitty lyrics writer. This is just, like, a bad performance from him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because he used to be kind of clever, and he would do things with wordplay, and he would try to be funny. But I think, right, like in this song, he's like trying to be like serious, which is just like not a good look for this guy.
Yeah, I think. Well, there's
like he's a corny guy.
There's so many songs, and there's so many lyrics, and there's so much to get. But I think he occasionally, like he writes clever wordplay, but then occasionally he'll do a lyric that's like way too on the nose, where it just takes you out of it. But for the most part, you're right. He's like clever, and yeah, I mean, he's a corny guy. He's like part of like Favestar Twitter, like.
Yeah, I made fun of one of his tweets a while ago, and then somebody sent me like an anonymous threat. I don't think it was him, but I mean,
it started with you making fun of his tweet that I invited you to come on this podcast because this is an open place for anyone, whether they like his tweets or not, to come on the podcast. But
I think he's a better songwriter than a tweet maker. Even if the only song he ever wrote was this song, he would be a better songwriter than a tweet maker. Like I'm looking at his timeline right now, and like 10 days ago, in 2017, in November, he made a tweet about fucking Harambe.
Oh my god, I saw that.
What are you doing? And because he has 3 million followers, it has 8,000 faves.
He's missing the window. Like maybe in 6 months he could do a Harambe tweet and it might be funny again.
Yeah, he should just bottle all of his intentions for 6 months and then try to play it off as irony. He could probably get away with that.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think he has this he wants to be an irony guy on Twitter, but the corny dad inside of him is fighting. It's a battle.
It's okay to be a corny dad. I mean, again, the dude's in his 40s, but I just feel like be honest about it. And there's some kind of duplicity both in this song and in the way he tweets, where it's just he wants to be part of the cool people crowd, and it's why are you this old and not doing your own shit already?
Right.
You know what I mean? It seems a little strange.
Yeah. Well, I actually think unintentionally talking about Proto Martyr is a perfect example, like what you said earlier. But also, is it maybe that it's just struggle makes people better? Like Proto Martyr from Detroit, they're obviously not millionaires, and so they actually have things to talk about. Whereas if you've been successful for half of your life, do you just run out of things to talk about?
I mean, yeah, it's probably just some measure of complacency, right? I mean, life's easy. You go play the shows, people show up, even if you suck, and it's fine. You'll have a house and you'll have a retirement fund. And, I mean, Blink-182 at this point is, supporting a whole, small industry. They have a lot of people working for them, I'm sure. So it's just yeah, we got to put out the albums.
Right.
Write a song about what? I don't know. How about Los Angeles? We'll put it on our album, California.
So, hang on.
I feel like they wrote the album title, and then they wrote all the song titles, and then they just wrote the songs last.
Yeah, it feels like it just sort of fell out of them. But I can't remember what tweet you made fun of from Mark, but I'd like to hear more about this death threat.
It was some guy who was mad at me for making fun of Mark Hoppus, but then the weird thing was, he insulted me by, saying all this, really specific shit, your tweets are this guy, and but then other times your tweets are this guy, and on your podcast you talk over your co-host, and you did this other thing, but it wasn't even the best. I was on another podcast as a guest, and they're like, that wasn't even a good episode of that podcast. And it's why are you consuming all my shit? It's so easy to not read my tweet. This guy's my biggest fan, but they fucking hate me.
Maybe he was your biggest fan until he saw you poke holes in Mark Hoppus's probably horrifying dad joke. Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I want to make it clear that no one can like Mark Hoppus's tweets and my tweets at the same time. You have to pick.
You have to pick sides. Wow.
And I won't lose any sleep if a bunch of people unfollow me once they hear that. It's fine.
Well, there are actually, I mean, having said all that, Mark Hoppus does seem to be in with a lot of people that maybe you and I follow, and there is sort of a weird, I mean, he's definitely
He's a famous guy, sure. I mean, the famous guy follows you, retweets you. You're like, hell, I like this famous guy, even though he's making Harambe jokes in November 2017.
I know. I mean, sort of a goal of this whole podcast has been for either Mark to follow me or block me. I want him to do one or the other. But so far he won't acknowledge me at all. But I think it's because he knows that I think he's pretty corny on Twitter. I don't know. It's really tough. It's really tough to sort of maintain the status quo and move up the ranks in Twitter without ruffling any feathers.
Are you talking about you or Mark Hoppus?
In general, I think what you did was really publicly making fun of Mark Hoppus is really a brave move on Twitter.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is I lose all my followers and then someone finds me in real life and kills me.
Cool. Well, hopefully you don't get killed for not liking Mark Hoppus's Twitter.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Stranger Things Season 2 has happened.
All right. That wasn't bad. I can't laugh at something that's like a pun, but I nodded respectfully.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to do something. I had to fill the silence.
Hey, I get you. Yeah, I put you in an awkward spot. I lobbed the ball back towards you. You had nothing to work with, and you're like, "Fuck it, I'll use a pun."
I bunted it. Yes. So in closing, now that you've probably unfollowed me on Twitter while we're talking, is there anything that you want to plug or mention about yourself, Derek?
No, I don't have any projects. I don't have anything that people can listen to, look at, or enjoy in a critical way. So if I've made fun of your hero, Mark Hoppus, and you want to own me by making fun of something I've done, don't worry about it. I haven't done anything. There's no way to hurt me. I will never produce any kind of art or anything that takes effort. Anything that I do took no effort, and so if you make fun of it, I don't care.
Now, philosophically, is it better to do nothing than it is to create the song Los Angeles by Blink-182 from the album California?
Yes, that's my belief, and I will die for my beliefs.